Anna here with saltinmycoffee.com. Thank you so much for coming back and joining me today. I really appreciate it. If you're wondering why I am recording in my bathroom today, it's because I'm doing a fun project to get ready for Carnival at my kids' school tomorrow. They asked if parents wanted to do any craft booths or help out. And I jumped on that chance because, oh my goodness, how much fun getting a chance to spend a couple hours with 100 elementary age kids. And so what I wanted to do is make some plant-dyed wooden beads that the kids can then go ahead and string to make necklaces or bracelets. And this is just such a fun way of introducing kids to the joy of dyeing things with plants. I feel like I'm going to be the weirdo mom there tomorrow who's like, hey kid, do you know that you can turn this into this? Look how pretty those are. Hooked. Yeah, we're hooked, right? Okay, so not to be all weird and creepy, but oh my gosh, plant dyeing, it is so much fun. And there are so many ways that you can get amazing colors with food. This yellow, here, let me scoop up some of these beads that are drying right now. Look at that. Do you see? I mean, I know the lighting in here is not amazing. Look at the yellow. Onion skins, just onion skin, nothing else, no chemicals. We're not working with alum here, anything that's going to make kids sick if they're putting these in their mouths. Onion skin. So many beautiful shades of yellow, and take a look at this. This is just a little bit of time in the onion dye. This is overnight in the onion dye. So just by using different amounts of time in the dye bath, you're getting such different shades. Over here we've got avocado. Did you know that you can turn this into, look at this beautiful peachy reddish color? I mean, just gorgeous. Now for this I used both the peel and the pit of the avocado. I find that really the most beautiful pink color comes out of just the avocado pits. But you know what? How many avocados can a body go through? And I just found out about this last week, so I haven't been saving avocados for weeks and weeks. For this particular project, I used both the skins and the pits, and these are beautiful. I love it. It's just this iridescent almost type of pinkish color. Over here I had some extra madder from the last time I made red soap, and you've got a really bright reddish color. Those are just a few accent ones to throw in there. I am really trying to focus on things that I grow here at home or foods that kids can actually save food scraps and dye their own wooden beads at home. So it's just a really fun thing that I'm doing today, and I thought that I would bring you along with me. Also, if this is something that you want to do with your kids or teachers, if this is something that you'd like to do, it's easier than you think. You know, I think when you first think about dyeing stuff with plants, it feels like you need to be this, you know, recreation person from, or reenactment person from the 17 or 1800s. You've got to really go deep in plant chemistry and, you know, all these different types of mordants and things like that. And it doesn't have to be complicated. If you want to do what I'm doing with your kids or your classroom or at school, it can be so simple. And so I'm just going to very quickly tell you about what I've done with these beads that I'm drying and I'm about to pack up and put into big bowls for the kids to just sink their hands into and have fun and be creative with tomorrow. The biggest thing is save your onion skins. Basically, the outer layer that you throw away from your onions is just packed with gorgeous color. And actually, I am going to hit pause on this because I want to show you what it looks like when you steep onion skins in warm water for a few hours. It's really gorgeous. All right, here we go. I just poured some into a jar. Now, keep in mind that this has already dyed 2 batches of beads and it's actually lost a little bit of its color. You can see it's almost a yellowish orangey color at this point. This is nothing more than onion skin that's been sitting in warm water. just gonna interject here, suddenly hit me that I'm standing in a bathroom holding a big old jar of something that looks like pee. Yes, that's a little bit hilarious. Onion skin and water, that's what this is. You don't even need a stove if you're able to have something like an electric tea kettle in your classroom. That is exactly how I made this onion dye bath, is by boiling water in my electric tea kettle and pouring it over the onion skins and just letting them sit that way for about an hour. Add your beads, let them sit for a while. These ones right here, I added these ones to that onion dye bath after the skins had only been in there for about 20 minutes, and then I took these beads out after an hour. This is not an all-day project. These ones sat overnight, and you can see that they're darker, they're a little bit brighter, but also these ones were dyed after the first batch had already soaked up a lot of the color from that dye bath. So if you left your first batch of beads in there for several hours, you're going to get a color that's even brighter yellow, almost an orange. And so that's a great way to get two different colors right there, a lemony yellow and also an orangey yellow, is simply with onion. And again, you don't need a stove, an electric tea kettle, just hot water over the onion skins, let them sit for a bit, and then you can get a couple different shades of yellow and orange just from your onion. With the avocado color over here, these ones were soaked a little bit longer, and it takes a little bit more time to get the color out of your avocados. And so what you're going to do is save your avocados. Now, one way that you can prepare for this project ahead of time is every time you eat an avocado, scrape the skin. You don't want any avocado flesh left on it because that's going to kind of shift your color toward the brown side rather than pink. And then really wash off the pit from the inside of the avocado, but you don't want to lose that brownish colored skin because that's what gives you the best color, is actually the outside layer of the avocado pit itself. So again, wash off any of the green avocado flesh. And what I would do is just throw that in a plastic bag, keep them in your freezer until you've got enough to work with. The batch of beads that I made here, this is only 3 avocados worth. It doesn't take a huge amount. And again, this is something that you don't even need to do it on the stovetop. With the avocado, I did exactly the same thing that I did with the onion, which is just pour boiling water over it and let it sit. And I specifically did this because I wanted to test how accessible we could make this project be for classrooms and other situations where you really might not have a lot of access to being able to just simmer something. And again, I think that that can be a little bit of a barrier when it comes to the idea of dyeing with plants, is we imagine dye stuffs, these dye kettles, just simmering away for hours and hours, and you don't need to do that. You can do this project off grid. Warmth is really helpful for pulling the color out of your dye stuff, but even if you just do that simply by a solar setup of having your pan in the sunshine, put a lid on it, put your dye stuff in there, cover it with the warmest water that you can, and just let it sit that way in the warmth of the sun. That's another way of helping to gently coax the color out of your dye stuff. So again, it's not like you need a stove in your classroom if you want to be doing this. It's not like you've got to be wasting fuel. All of the color that I made for this project, really, it just came from an electric tea kettle and, steeping things with that hot water over the dye stuff. Now, I am going to grab my camera and show you a couple of other things that I have in the works. For these colors, I am actually using the warming drawer of my oven. It's just a way to keep a little bit of warmth under there. If it were a warmer day, I could actually be doing that just right in the sunshine. But let me show you another couple of colors that I have going. So down here in my warming drawer, staying just a little warm, and you can tell this isn't hot. My hand is right in here with them. These are my beads that are, you can see some of these are starting to turn a nice little bit of green, and you can see how greenish colored that dye bath is. Okay, what I did for this was I poured the end of my onion bath into this iron pot. And being an iron, onion skin with iron is going to give you a greenish color. And the longer that you have any dye bath in contact with iron, iron wants to shift things really dark. And so the longer they're in here, these are slowly getting a bit of green. Some of these I'm going to leave in overnight, and they're actually going to get pretty good and dark greenish gray. But this is just another way. This is not a stop you in your tracks color. It will definitely develop over time. But it's just one more way to get a little bit of a different color from just a very few ingredients. You can tell I've got a couple of the skins of red onions. I've mostly used yellow onion skin because that's primarily what I cook with. That one was one I saved from a red onion. Really does not make a huge difference. It's a very subtle difference in color. And you can see the onion skins that made it in with that dye bath are starting to turn pretty dark just from being in contact with the iron. Anyway, just a fun little project that I have going on today. And, you know, all beads that are dyed with nature. Fun way to introduce kids to the joy of dyeing with plants and do it in a way that keeps things really, really simple. So that is just a quick little taste of what I'm doing today. It's this fun little project. I can't wait to introduce the kids to dyeing with plants. And I think for me, and probably a lot of other folks who get hooked on dyeing with plants, the absolute hardest thing about this entire project is keeping it simple, because the experimenter in me wants to experiment. I want to try a lot of different things, but I think that sometimes, especially when you're working with kids, it's so helpful to keep the options pretty simple. And so what I intend to do tomorrow is bring, you know, vats of these colored beads, which I think are going to look amazing sitting next to each other on the table. We're going to bring in some of the food items that these colors came from, and then I'm going to have some cord, you know, elasticized cord, just already cut to length so that the kids can grab one to make a bracelet or grab a longer one to make a necklace, and hopefully it'll be a really good time. All right, it's a really fun project today. Thought you might enjoy seeing what I've got going on. Again, this is Anna with saltedmycoffee.com. If you have any questions about this project or anything else about dyeing with plants, go ahead and put those in the comments below. And thanks for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow.